What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I'm sure you guys heard by now, passport bro Floyd arrested in Brazil for pedophilia. All right, passport bro Floyd arrested for pedophilia, right? And everybody knows Floyd from the former passport bro Austin Harlem, right? Now Austin Harlem is being plastered all over the Brazil news TV show, news networks for being associated with Floyd, because we all knew Floyd through Austin Harlem, right? And Austin Harlem came out, he has said his statement, and everybody else is coming out and saying their statement. And there's a lot of people that's taking this opportunity to shit on Austin Harlem. There's a lot of people attacking Austin Harlem based off what Floyd did, right? And y'all know I have criticisms, legitimate criticisms for Austin Harlem, right? And the whole passport bro and what it kind of turned into, because I know exactly what it is. Because passport bros ain't nothing but a bunch of dudes that was listening to their military buddies talk about, damn, when I was over this country, man, it was slick, I can get women, blah, blah, blah. And they just follow their military buddies overseas. Trust me, believe me, I know that's what it is, right? But my criticisms for the passport bro is pretty much the same as what Austin Harlem said on his thing. And I'm in full support of Austin Harlem, right, as he shuns this group of people or this individual. And I don't think anybody should attach Austin Harlem to this situation. I don't think anybody should use this to attack Austin Harlem, right? Because even if you watch, and Austin has always kind of said this, even if you watch, now Austin is himself is socially awkward. Let's just keep it real. He's socially awkward, but is on a spectrum, right? He obviously can get about, right? His issue is social awkwardness is limited to his interaction with women to a certain extent. But Floyd, anybody who saw Floyd, you could see him for 5 minutes and see there's something wrong with him. He was always, to me, I thought he was always on the spectrum, but he was able to live an independent life on the spectrum. But you can see in his eyes that this guy and his moral compass was not focused. You could tell this guy would pretty much do anything. You could tell this guy when he grew up, he was not the pick for anybody anywhere to procreate with, to have a extracurricular adult activities with. He clearly is the type, due to his squeakiness of his voice, the way his face looks, the way he appears, his aura, his energy, clearly he has to pay for it, right? He's a definitely got to pay for it type of guy. He doesn't have the money, right, to really do it, so he begs. And his whole thing, he was like the begging passport guy who everybody was interested in because he has this weird, chaotic personality that clearly everybody can see this dude's on the spectrum, right? Just gallivanting around the world with not a care in the world. He has zero situational awareness. Floyd is literally living, he's not even aware of himself. You can tell he's not, he's just acting and reacting, trying to seek pleasure and acceptance and respect. He just is the basic fundamental emotions. He's just gallivanting throughout his life, just trying to satisfy, right? And you can see that Austin was separating himself from Floyd for a while. He was trying, but Floyd was being weird and shit, making it awkward. And that's why Austin Harlem was saying, you know, the passport bros should be like a fraternity, right? Where you can kick people out, where there's rules and memberships, right? That's why I said, you know, passport bros, that's amateur shit. I'm a passport professional, all right? Passport professionals don't attach themselves to organizations that they can be associated with so that they can be mired under that, you know, dark cloud when some shit happens, right? Like as an American. All right, I'll give you a prime example. As a Marine in the Marine Corps, right? When we travel around the world, there's always some goddamn stupid Marine, especially in Okinawa, Japan. They'll go out here and they'll get drunk one night and they'll go rape. They'll rape a woman, right? Literally. This shit happens all the time, guys. So they'll rape a woman, right? Because they're drunk or whatever they do. And so because that guy was a Marine, all of a sudden, all the Marines, they got to lock down the base. Nobody can go on libo on the weekends. Everybody has to suffer because this one individual did something. But because he's a Marine, you know, they looking at everybody like that. So there's a long period of time where everybody restricted because of this guy, right? And what does the Marine Corps do? They take that individual, they punish him, right? Sanction him. Usually he gets kicked out. He's no longer Marine, he gets dishonorable discharge, all that shit. And then you got to repair the relationship with the community because of what this Marine do. Now, if a Navy SEAL does some shit, and this is true, if a Navy SEAL goes out here, because this happens a lot, guys. This shit happens a lot. When a fucking Navy SEAL goes out and do some shit, because they are under SOCOM and they're not supposed to fucking be there, the Marines get in trouble for it. So if a Marine goes out and rapes, gets in a fight, and beats somebody up too much, they'll say a Marine did it, right? Because they can't say Navy SEALs do it, because Navy SEALs are a propaganda organization. They're used as, you know, like Superman and Captain America. So you got to keep the look of a Navy SEAL to be pristine and perfectly patriotic, you know, super warrior or whatever. When in actuality, a Navy SEAL is just a regular motherfucker. They do a specific job. They ain't special to nobody else, and they are humans like everybody else, and they do fucked up shit like everybody else. Just like them 18 Marines, the 18 white Marines that got caught being racist towards the 18 Navy SEALs that got caught being racist to the black Navy SEAL, because I'm pretty sure he outperforms them in every way possible, and they're jealous of that. That's the way this shit happens. Trust and believe, right? But, so when you're a part of a group, like you start creating these groups, passport bros, you start calling yourself a passport bro because it sounds cool, it sounds like a revolutionary movement. Black people getting their passports, going about the country, even though we've been doing that shit for decades, right? But putting a name and title to it, now anybody who calls themselves that, the world is going to recognize the black individual, because even though white people been calling themselves passport bros and shit like that, it's not cool when white people do it. We don't even care, even though they're the professionals. They're the ones who go around the world graping everybody. There's plenty of stories of white passport bros just doing all manners of shit, killing people. Like, this is regular news. White folks going around like for centuries. You can turn on the news almost any day and find a white person doing some shit in another country they ain't supposed to be doing, right? But they don't associate that shit with passport bros, because white people are individualistic. Therefore, if a white person does something, it's just that white person. The group don't get mired. We're just now, like, as a society, as things are coming, we're just now starting to put white people in a group and say, hey, you white people are responsible for what that white person does. And they're not liking that shit. This is part of community and responsibility and holding people accountable. White people right now are being held accountable for what their members of their group are doing, right? That's what's happening now, right? So usually that doesn't happen, but black people, we always do that. So anytime a group of black people are doing anything and one person do something, guess what? The whole group, even internally, we're like, look, you disappointed the group. That's not what the group's about, right? Passport bros, all right, is about, you got levels. You got the first level. You got the levels of people who want to go have extracurricular adult activities, right? Sex tourism, because that's what it is, sex tourism, right? And to enjoy yourself and young man and sow your royal oats and have a good time as a young man and not have to spend an arm and a leg to do it. Because in America, you're still spending money. You go to the goddamn club in America, you spend $200, $300, $400 trying to impress some woman so that maybe she will have a one-night stand with you. That's what you're looking for, right? You take that same $300, $400, $500, you get on a plane, right? You done spent $300 to get to the Dominican Republic. You done spent $50 on a goddamn motel, right? And then the rest of that money, you can buy several women that have that same good time, right? And guaranteed you get some. So I understand that part, right? And then you got the ones that's really looking for wives, right? And I don't understand why they call bros passport bro, right? They passport professionals. You got ones that go look for wives for traditional conservative values of family and all that stuff. I understand that. That makes sense, right? Especially when we have a lack of that due to the culture within our country of women not wanting to have families. They want to go work and be like men, right? So a man goes and look for a woman that want to be a woman because all the women in America want to be men. At least that's the way they present themselves as far as these men are concerned, right? But I have to defend Austin. I don't want people blaming Austin. Austin Harlem has grown, right? He still has his ways. He is who he is. He's grown as an individual. And he's not out here doing that shit. He's not doing that shit. And most people who call themselves passport bros are not doing that shit. They're innocently having a good time, right? They're exchanging time for money, right? Or they're finding wives. They're not hurting nobody. Many of the passport bros are doing that. But the problem is because of the label and because of the reputation that the earlier passport bros have created on the global scale, it looks bad. It's mired in bad press, PR. Passport bros doesn't sound like a decent organization that should be respected because of shit like this. Because of the guy in Kenya who beat up on a dude. Because of Floyd, then he's going to make the name passport bro look bad. Same way FBA looks bad because of Tariq. The name itself is already poisoned. It cannot be recovered. Passport bros probably can't be recovered. And so the leader of the passport bros, who, because other people outshined him, you know, he can't control the message. He's trying to control the message. because Austin Harlem is calling Floyd a passport bro, right? While the guy who made up the term passport bro is saying that this black traveler, right? But the problem is, when y'all start making labels like passport bro and then calling every black guy that got a passport, calling him a passport bro, you have to deal with the fact that when it happens, they're going to say it was a passport bro. That's why you shouldn't attach yourself to shit. That's why I don't attach myself to certain groups. That's why I'm not seen with certain individuals, because I don't want to be guilty by association. I don't want people to see me and that person on the same panel talking like we friends. I don't want anybody to make a connection between me and the fake pseudos. That's why you don't see me with them. That's why I don't even debate them. Why don't I debate them? Because that means I'm giving them credibility. That debating them means that we have equal thoughts, we have equal ideas, and that our ideas are equal, and that we are equal. That's why I don't deal with them, because if I'm not gonna waste my time with people I don't see as my equal, right? So that's why I don't do it, right? So you got to be careful about these labels. You got to be careful about who you associate yourself with, right? You got to be careful about all this stuff, because it's very important. But Austin Harlem did the right thing, came out immediately, because he could have pretended like his shit didn't happen, right? But he knew, because he's the one who kind of presented Floyd. He didn't fucking know. Who knows? Who knew? Right? He said no. Who would have known? But after a while, he knew something, because he started to pivot away from Floyd, right? Because he knew something, right? But then ultimately, Austin Harlem was right, because Floyd ended up being that person that Austin Harlem thought he was, unfortunately, right? And now Floyd has to pay the price, right? And now people in Brazil can look at African Americans and say, look, you African Americans coming to Brazil and y'all taking advantage of our people, just like the colonizer. You're doing that, right? Now here's an African American going out and doing things, and now we got to make excuses for this African American? Or are we going to just are we going to defend this African? We can't defend it. We got to let justice be justice. We got to let people say what they got to say about the abuses of some African Americans using their leverage to go over here and take advantage of people and situations at which they're able to do so, just like the white person. We got to do it. That's just what it is. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment sections. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Brazilian authorities have arrested an American in connection with a serious criminal investigation involving the exploitation of minors. Floyd Wallace Jr., a U.S. national, was taken into custody following an operation led by Rio de Janeiro Civil Police with assistance from law enforcement from Sao Paulo. According to investigators, Wallace is suspected of facilitating and participating in the sexual exploitation of young ones, using digital platforms and transportation apps to arrange encounters. Police say the case is part of a broader effort to combat child exploitation involving foreign nationals. Authorities seized electronic devices during an arrest, which are now being analyzed as part of an ongoing investigation. Wallace remains in custody as Brazilian courts review the case. The following video shows footage related to the arrest and police operation, so check this out and I'll meet you on the other side.
Children in Rio de Janeiro. His detention was at a downtown hotel. He described himself on social media profiles as a sex tourist. The text then includes a series of excerpts from a video.
As soon as they entered the room, the American, identified as Floyd Wallace Jr., 29, was arrested in the Liberdade neighborhood in downtown Sao Paulo. Today, he eating game. He threw himself to the ground and was handcuffed. The operation was carried out by teams from the Homicide and Personal Protection Department in support of civil police officers from the state of Rio de Janeiro. According to information from the Child and Adolescent Police Station, the American is accused of raping and sexually exploiting several children. In conducting their inspection of the hotel room where he was lodged, the police found a significant quantity of electronic equipment, including files containing child pornography. They also seized a variety of items such as pen drives, memory cards, a notebook, a computer, multiple cell phones, some stuffed animals, a watch with an embedded camera, and various other telephone devices. At the start of December, law enforcement commenced an intelligence operation following a report from a ride-sharing driver. The driver stated that a user who had used a false name requested a ride with two minors, whiners. During the ride, the man spoke with the children who said they were going to meet an older man who didn't speak Portuguese. The girls couldn't explain how they knew him. That's when the civil police were contacted. On December 18th, the police identified a user who had requested another ride with four underage girls. During monitoring, agents identified that the American had traveled to Sao Paulo the previous Saturday and was planning to flee the country. This is where the teams established a perimeter to prevent his escape. A temporary arrest warrant was served for the crimes of rape of a vulnerable person and facilitating the sexual exploitation of children. His passport was also seized. The investigation also revealed that the criminal had self-identified as a sex tourist on social media profiles. According to the civil police, Floyd is a U.S. citizen and has a channel on a video platform where he posts videos of himself resisting police approaches and being arrested in various states of his native country, Orpova. The foreigner has a criminal record in more than 3 U.S. states for crimes such as resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and assaulting a police officer. The combined sentences could reach 34 years in prison. Investigations continue to identify and locate other possible individuals involved in the scheme, as well as to determine if there are new victims.
Letitia Mean is in front of the federal police, which is investigating, right? And his arrest, where his arrest was made. Now searching for other members here in Brazil, because this gang is international, right, Leticia?
Yes, William. And the police also want to know how many victims were targeted by this man, this 29-year-old criminal. The information we have is that he is here at the federal police headquarters in Sao Paulo, an investigation together with the civil police of Rio de Janeiro, because that's where these victims were targeted, right? The first identified victims, which we covered in this report, were alerted to the authorities by a rideshare driver about these teenage girls who were going to meet this man. They said they didn't have much information about him, that he was a foreigner who didn't speak Portuguese, and this raised an alert among the police. At the apartment, our first live report was in front of the apartment, a kind of hotel, a lodging platform where he was staying in Sao Paulo. The police believe that in recent days he had been using this location as an escape route to return to the United States. Everything was very well planned. He already knew when he should post all this so that the police here in Brazil wouldn't find him. According to the investigation, he was even being financed to commit all these crimes here. Now, the objective of the Brazilian police, the federal police, the São Paulo civil police, and also the Rio de Janeiro civil police, William, is to count the number of victims and also listen to these families, and also we will continue to follow up, William.
Thank you very much for the information. Key role, isn't it, when police forces collaborate? That has been very effective, right?
Breaking news, everybody. Famous passport bro Floyd Wallace Jr. has been arrested in Brazil for child exploitation. That's right. He has been arrested because he is suspected of child exploitation. And to make matters worse, he was friends with Austin Harlem. If you don't know who Austin Harlem is, he was literally the most famous passport bro in the last few years who got kicked out of Brazil because he was harassing the women in Brazil.
You're being arrested for a child exploration by the police of Rio de Janeiro, okay? That's it. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, these allegations are super serious. I have read formal accounts and I've read informal accounts, comments by actual Brazilians themselves. And some of these allegations are very, very seriously debilitating. I'm talking about some people are saying it's not been proven yet that there is evidence of him being with 6-year-olds. But before we continue, I would like to point out that
you know, this is a big chance for the nice guys, right? I'm gonna show you something. Did you know that the nice guys win in Thailand? They win in the Philippines. They win in Brazil. They win in Colombia. They win in DNR. They win in Switzerland. They win in Germany. They win in foreign countries where the modern day country, America, you don't win. You're too nice. You're boring. I need a bad boy. That's what they do in the modern country. Okay? In the foreign countries, you win as the nice guy. You come first. You come first in the foreign country. In the modern day country, in the States, you come last, and sometimes you don't even get to enter the race. So this is why the passport bros is going to continue to grow. And you don't believe me? Well, you're lying, Floyd. You don't have a passport. I got a passport right here.
Floyd Wallace, 30 years old, arrested on child exploitation and rape. Absolute filthy work.
For a long time, Germany, we felt beyond what Facebook pages.
For child exploration by the police of here. Okay? That's it. That's it.
You hear the female officer saying that he's arrested for child exploitation. The report says a North American man has been arrested in Sao Paulo accused of graping and sexually exploiting children in Rio de Janeiro. Floyd Wallace Jr., 30 years old, was located in Liberty neighborhood by officers from the Department of Child and Teen Victim with support from the Sao Paulo Civil Police. The investigation began in early December after an app driver reported a user used false name to request underage races. Underage races, I believe this is a typo. Nonetheless, this is very consistent with what we've seen Floyd do. Does anybody remember Floyd's name, the fake name that he usually uses when he's overseas in Colombia and in Brazil? The name he used to go by is Terry. He'd be like, "Mi nome Terry." He'll tell all the women his name is Terry. So apparently he was telling Uber drivers, giving them fake names, and this is what's listed in the report. It says, in one of the situations, the children reported that they would meet an older man who would not speak Portuguese. On December 18th, 4 girls were also taken from the neighborhood of Rocha to Santo Cristo in northern zone of Rio. So this is bad, man. According to the transport company, the suspect used various accounts with fake or third-party names. We've seen this is very consistent with all the coverage we've seen from Floyd. He tries to say it's for his protection because they're scoping him and X, Y, and Z, but he's dealing with minors. He doesn't want to have a trace or a trail back to himself and the real him. Yeah, he was arrested after police identified him in Sao Paulo planning to flee the country. So he was planning to cut. He was trying to get the fuck out of there. He was planning to flee. And before he can flee, the police, they've been investigating him from early December all the way to now. So they got him. Against the foreigner, an arrest warrant for rape of a vulnerable and favoring child exploitation was fulfilled, and the passport was seized. So his passport seized, chat. They took that shit. He's stuck in Rio. He's charged for child exploitation and rape. This is not a joking matter. This is very serious. Floyd is a filthy individual. During the action, electronic devices, mobile devices, and a watch with a hidden camera. So this guy had a watch with a hidden camera. What kind of filthiness was Floyd doing without these women knowing?
While you are miserable, I'm done playing. I'm the prize. As long as I know why I'm the prize. Let me show you why I'm the prize. Let me show you why I'm the prize. Let me show you why I'm the prize. Because the fact that I can travel, that I can leave the country when I want. When I can leave the United States when I want to. When I want. And be happy. While you are miserable. No, I don't have a job. She has a job. I don't. So.
Black fathers aren't present in the home, white supremacists say, as they ignore the fact that white men lead the nation in pedophilia and rape crimes. Let's stop pretending that you guys care about black issues and black fathers. Really, you just don't want people looking at white men because white supremacy demands to be seen as perfect. And if we take a look at what you guys are doing, it doesn't look too good. Maybe y'all let us worry about our community and what we need to do to make our community better, and you guys worry about all the mass shootings that are being committed. You guys worry about all the pedophilia and rape that are running rampant within your community. Because I'm really, really tired of white men pretending like they care about black fathers being in the household and black on black crime. You guys don't care about what's going on in our community. You just want to dehumanize us. That's all it is. If you really care about our community and wanting to make children safer, maybe focus on that. I think tackling white supremacy, all the pedophiles and the mass shooters that are from your demographic would really, really help our country and help protect children.
The number one offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. Like, they're technical savvy, and I think that it is time that we call them out. Like, that we can't stand by and stand back. Like, we have to stand up and say, not only are we not doing our job as men, it's actually the opposite. Instead of being defenders and protectors of our families, we're hurting and abusing.
So this is a tough one to talk about. I don't see any way around it. Let me apologize in advance to those white men who I am acquainted with and respect and love, but you've got to speak what's true. Pedophilia, victimizing of people who you have power over. In this case, the victimizing of children who you have power over. Has anyone noticed that in every arena, it is rich white men who dominate the field? We know Epstein, where it's so distressing that some of the richest men on the planet habitually sexually abused children. SA'd, I think I'm supposed to say, children. And they were tied together in secrecy, in keeping each other's secrets for decades. They were tied together financially. I think it was, if you deal with me financially and you become dependent or become intertwined, you're less likely to ever reveal anything about the things we've been doing in the dark. The same sort of ethic is true in churches, the Catholic Church, which for beyond decades, a century, kept the secrets of the white male priests who were essaying children. The same is true in small pastorates, small churches, where the pastor has a lot of power. Don't anybody say, oh yes, but it doesn't just have to do with that. I mean, a lot of women, still support these people. Sure they do. As long as women are in any way financially dependent on men, they're going to go along with almost anything, and that's just the truth. The latest, and I saw this morning on TikTok, and it was so distressing. You know the whole latest thing about we're going to declare certain occupational fields as not professional fields. I heard that and I thought, well, that's the dumbest thing. That has no point. What is the point of that? Well, the first thing I looked at was that, well, if you look at the fields, and I wrote them down, it's like master's degree in education, a CNA, which is a medical helper, physician's assistants, social workers, occupational therapists, physical therapists are no longer, and there's more, they're no longer, well, I thought they had one thing in common. They were the fields women were in. Now, what does it matter? It matters because if they are declared to be not professional fields, people cannot get financial aid to assist them in getting the education necessary to go into the field. Got it? No financial assistance able for a master's degree in education or physical therapy or physician's assistant. And why does that matter? Reason one, these are fields dominated by women. These are ways women can become financially independent, can become able to support themselves and their families. But number two, I didn't even think about till I saw it this morning on TikTok. And creator, forgive me please for not noting down your name. These fields, every one of them that I named, are mandated reporters of child abuse. You get me? The white male federal government is saying, oh, they're not real fields anymore. Every one of them is mandated to report signs of child abuse. What to say? What to say? White men are the problem. White men, and white men particularly who desire power, money, are the problem. White men who cannot control their urges are the problem. White men who present a face of honesty and rectitude and caring, but who aren't, who are essaying children, are the problem. The secrecy is the problem. God help us all.
So why are Gambians participating?
So that's actually a good point that you make, because there's a problem. We have to sensitize the Gambian communities a little bit more. There's got to be a grassroots effort to educate the families, because at the end of the day, if a family is poor, they're making $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden this white European male or female comes with thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars, offer to take their child to Europe, give them a visa, give them a better life, they turn a blind eye, and that is what the issue is. And I think it starts with young people as well, because some of them know they're 18, they're 17, they're 16. They know what these people are coming here for. But again, it's the poverty. At the same time, though, the hotels, they can't turn a blind eye. The policemen can't turn the blind eye. And we got to make sure that everything is in place. So when these pedophiles or these dirty Harrys, that's what we call them, dirty Harrys back in the day, these dirty Harrys or dirty Sarahs, when they come to the Gambia, that they know that it's a no-nonsense policy.
International sex tourism, where dirty old men from the United States travel overseas to abuse children, is a thriving industry. But did you know it's also a crime? 67-year-old Donald Stenson of Wisconsin had been taking regular trips to the Philippines to have sex with minors since 2007. His victims were between the ages of 11 and 17, and he paid the kids for their services. In later trips, he also brought a buddy named John Bergdorf, age 66, to join in on these sex vacations. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip about their activities and alerted federal agents from Homeland Security investigations, who looped in Philippines authorities into the joint investigation. A search of Donald's phone uncovered multiple images and videos with him engaging in sex with children. The search also uncovered sexually explicit messages with the kids. Both men were arrested and charged with international sex trafficking offenses. They both pled guilty. Donald was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and John got 2.5 years. And that's what happened. If you like my videos, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe for daily crime stories. Have a great day, and be cool.
The Tourism Board in Gambia has a stark warning for British tourists. The West African country says British women should stop coming to the country looking for flings with younger men. That's a euphemism. The director of the Tourism Board there has suggested he wants to send what he calls promiscuous pensioners packing, as the country wants to attract what were described as quality tourists who come to enjoy the culture instead of sex. Well, sex tourism took hold there after the launch of budget package tours in the 1990s, with reports of young Gambian beach boys often seen assisting older female tourists, some old enough to be their grandmothers. Journalist, writer and commentator Caroline Farrow joins me now. Hi to you, Caroline. It's very rare that I read an introduction to a story which feels like no other story I've ever introduced before on the telly. This is one of those stories. And on one level, that's good because you want to be made to think about the news in new ways. A first reaction to this is that, of course, men have been travelling abroad for tourism for decades, if not longer. What do we make of this? What do we make of what the Gambians are saying about this?
Well, in many ways, I feel a little bit uncomfortable because, it's up to Gambia what laws they want to set. And obviously they want to clean up their tourist industry. I think I read somewhere that sex tourism accounts for 20% of their GDP. And it's very easy for us to kind of titter and giggle at the idea of older women going to have affairs with younger Gambian men. It's not seen as quite so taboo or exploitative, but it is, because if you're having to basically induce somebody to have sex with you because they wouldn't do so otherwise, it is a form of exploitation. And older women having sex with younger men is only one side, is only one element to sex industry or sex tourist industry. So we also are seeing reports in Gambia of younger and younger children, including girls as young as 8, becoming recruited into this trade. And when you have a sex trade, it doesn't help the country to lift itself out of poverty. It just sort of increases, the poverty trap. And it says something to a society if the only way that people can better themselves is by selling themselves for sex. So I think Gambia has an awful lot to offer. It's got chimpanzee reserves. It's got wildlife, apparently incredible species of birds. Although I'm widely travelled, it's not a country I've been to. And I think good for them, actually. I mean, Africa is a socially conservative continent. So, it is... in an age where we're also sensitive about colonialism, then we shouldn't be going over there and attempting to impose our liberal, progressive sexual values onto what is a very socially conservative country.
I feel like I'm tiptoeing through a moral minefield here, Caroline. Do let me know if anything goes bang. How does it differ? I'm sorry, I'm trying to think it through. How does what you've described differ, say, for instance, from groups, very large groups, of young male and female Brits going to a part of the world which is socially conservative and being promiscuous? I mean, they are taking with them a set of moral code which is doesn't sit comfortably with that of the country which they're visiting. How does that differ from what's happening in the Gambia?
Well, of course, when groups of young men and women, sexually promiscuous young men and young women, go to these conservative countries, they often do find themselves a cropper. We're always reading about stories, particularly in the Middle East. And it's a reminder to everybody that when you visit another country, it's a privilege, and you ought to respect the traditions and culture of the country that you're visiting. But the difference is here, basically, women and men, anybody going abroad to try and coerce somebody into having sex, to try and pay them for sex, that's exploitative and shouldn't happen. I think it's a different kind of morality. And, the same applies in an age of female equality. Let's hold women and men accountable to the same standards. So just as it's not okay for men to go over to Thailand, I know that's a very common country to procure younger children for sex, just as it's not okay for men to go to wherever to procure young women for sex and to pay them, the same standard applies to women.
Let me tell you why this image from Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book that was just released is also deeply disturbing. So right here, 1983, there's Jeffrey Epstein kind of in tattered clothes giving balloons to some little girls. Why? Why would he do that? Because he's a pedophile. And then here he is in 2003. What a great country, getting a massage by 4 girls. So I represented 11 victims, and most of them, what happened was they were solicited to give him massages, maybe for $300. They were down on their luck, models, actresses, underage girls. They were assured by Ghislaine Maxwell that everything would be okay. They went over there. They were asked to do it topless, just like these girls. and then they were sexually exploited or even raped by him. It was absolutely devastating to them and has caused lifelong damage. What's so appalling about this is back in 2003, people knew what he was doing. High-profile men knew what he was doing. It was all a big joke on his birthday as girls are getting exploited over and over again, and now we have evidence of what people knew, and even now, very little accountability.
So Peter Thiel, the guy who was supposed to give the 4-part seminar on the Antichrist, was also named in the Epstein files, along with Bill Gates, who I already talked about, Elon Musk. All have been named in the Epstein files that have been released. Now, is it me, or are they slowly trying to take down the richest people in the world right now? Just think about it. Whether or not they went to the island, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Bill Gates, Prince Andrews are all some of the richest people in the world. And those are the 4 names that were dropped that were notable. So is this them trying to take down the rich, the richest, by releasing their names first? Sure seems like it. There were meetings that were supposed to happen between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein, along with Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein. Mind you, they probably already met several times, but this is just the initial files that have been released that details these names. But we're all waiting for that one name. Like, yes, all these names, yeah, detail us. We're waiting for the one guy's name. Everyone knows who we're waiting for.
That's not the weird part, guys. When you're running a giant potential blackmail operation on the most powerful people on earth, it's not that surprising that an intelligence agency would be involved. What's surprising is all of the national media in unison covering it up. But finally, CNN here, and I'm kind of amused by it, because as the government is telling them, this is counterintelligence, we are the ones that are redacting these files. CNN says at the end of the article, it is awfully strange, doesn't normally happen. Well, okay, we got a slight admission there. Yes, it is awfully strange.
Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.